With us now is Republican Congresswoman Miller-Meeks from Iowa. Representative, thank you for being with us. Could you support Jim Jordan for Speaker?
I think it's really too early to tell until we have other candidates who want to step up to be Speaker. So there are certain qualifications and certain questions that we have to ask all of the candidates before I would decide which one to support.
What are those qualifications, and does Jim Jordan have them?
So one is the ability to bring the conference together and unite the conference. One is, what are we going to do about members who don't see the entire conference's best interest at heart? How we go forward on bills. For me, from the state of Iowa, what's their opinion on biofuels and on environment and energy? Where do they want to go with health care? Where are they on reducing prescription drug prices? So those are all questions. Are they going to be able to help us to not only keep the majority, but to gain the majority, gain a bigger majority in the House? All of those are important questions to ask these individuals. So being Speaker of the House doesn't only mean you preside over the proceedings of the House. It's much more detailed, and there are other considerations that come into play.
You said one of the qualifications is how they will handle members in the conference who don't really put the conference first. I want to ask you about Matt Gaetz, who led the charge yesterday to oust former Speaker Kevin McCarthy. What would be the appropriate sanction for him? Do you think he should be sanctioned?
At this point in time, I'm not going to delve into what should happen to, to certain members. I just think that we as a conference need to be able to address that. Most importantly, right now, is that we need to get onto the business of finding out who the candidates are for Speaker, selecting a Speaker so we can get back to doing the job for the American people. We have appropriations bills that we need to get passed. We need to get those through committee. We have investigations that are going on now. We need to be able to continue to do those investigations, and we need to be able to have our committee hearings resume as they should be doing. But right now, we're distracted because we have to now choose a Speaker.
The Wall Street Journal, in their editorial today, said that Republicans cut off their own heads. That was the headline. And then it went on to say the putative GOP majority is weaker. How would you assess your strength or weakness today compared to yesterday?
Well, there's certainly many of us who are concerned about how we're perceived as a conference, which is why we want to get through this process in an orderly fashion and then get back to doing the business of the American people, which means committee hearings or investigations and then passing the appropriations bills, which we have already started. We've already passed 4 appropriations bills, but we need to have individuals who are willing to work with the conference to get these passed instead of bringing down rules when they're brought up to the House floor.
So one of the things that has already happened by, I suppose, the temporary people running the conference is they kicked Nancy Pelosi and Steny Hoyer, Democratic members, out of their Capitol building hideaway offices. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think if these were offices that were meant for the Speaker of the House, and although I have respect for Pelosi as a former Speaker and what she was able to do for her conference, for the Democrat Party, if they're no longer Speaker and those were offices that were given to them as Speaker, they should be vacated.
You say you have respect for what she did for her party. Do you think she held her caucus together better than you've been holding the Republican conference together?
Well, I've not been holding.
You personally, I mean Republicans have.
Nor do I wish to be Speaker. But I think that Speaker Pelosi was successful as a Democrat Speaker.
Thank you for making news right there. You were officially not a candidate as of right now to be the next Speaker of the House. You made that announcement right here on CNN. I do want to ask you about aid to Ukraine.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. As recently as a few months ago, you were actually critical of the Biden administration for not doing more in terms of getting support for Ukraine. That was March, I believe. Well, what about now?
How do you feel of the Biden administration?
Okay, so on that front, how concerned are you? How concerned are you that the next Republican Speaker won't be able to get new aid to Ukraine through?
Well, I think first and foremost, I have said this from the beginning, the president needs to make a national address on why we need to be involved in Ukraine. This comes from the president. It should come from the administration. They're in the capacity to do that, and they have failed to do so. They have also moved slowly. They were slow to apply sanctions, slow to respond. So the American people deserve to know what our involvement is in Ukraine, whether we're in to win, what the oversight is for Ukraine, especially given the president's previous dealings with Ukraine when he was vice president. The American people deserve all of that, and that needs to come from high-level leadership, and that has been lacking.
All right, Congresswoman Mariannette Miller-Meeks, not a candidate for Speaker. We do appreciate your time with us this morning. Please come back.
Thank you so much, John.